Hello, I'm Victor Yalom. I'm back here with another episode of things that we can do as therapists during this terrible pandemic. And I'm pleased to be here with Dr. Larry Rubin. He's a psychologist specializing in child and family issues. He's a professor of counseling. He's an author, and he's the editor here at psychotherapy.net. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you, Victor.
So today I'd like to kind of pick your brain about what advice we can offer to parents during this crisis. And these could be parents that we're working with in families. They could be parents of children we're working with, or they could just be parents, including ourselves.
Including ourselves. I think common sense and a level head have to prevail. Certainly, this is a terrible crisis, but I think there are some simple wisdoms that we've accumulated having raised children in past crises. And I think we have to tap into what we already know and also what our kids already know. I think this is the time to really give kids credit for being smarter than they may other times appear or not appear. I have three main points that I'd like to address. So I don't know if you want to ask me questions or you want me to just chat.
Just jump in. What are those 3 points?
Well, they sort of align with the acronym of SIP, S-I-P, safety, information, and problem solving.
Okay, let's take safety first.
I think it's the same kind of issue as in an airplane when you're asked as the adult to put on your mask first so you can tend to the needs of the child or the vulnerable. I think now, especially since parents are spending more time at home and children are spending more time at home than they normally are, that we, the adults in the room, have to regulate our own anxiety. Mm-hmm. We have to be very mindful that the audience is watching. The kids are looking at us for cues for how safe it is or how anxious we can be. I think it's okay that parents let kids know that being worried and being anxious is a normal part of everyday living, and to regulate their own anxiety, not catastrophize, not make promises to kids that they can't keep. I think it's important that parents, in this context of safety, keep to a routine of sorts. And parents may be out of their comfort zone, literally, in this one, Victor, because they may not be used to spending quite that much time with their kids. So it's a matter of calling on the play routines, the chore routines, the homework routines, the togetherness routines, but also the separateness routines that they've developed over the years, and maybe develop some new ones with kids. What games can we play? How can we make our house safe? How can we stay connected with each other? I think with regard to safety, it's also important that kids understand the difference between social distancing and social connection, and that if one or more of the parents or caretakers leaves the house, that they practice the hand washing and the sanitizing when they leave and when they come back, and they make it a playful activity for the kids. So safety becomes just another part of daily living.
All right. So what I hear you saying is, one important thing I hear you saying is they have to model to their kids both safety, washing hands, and also, modulating, moderating, managing their own anxiety. Because if they're anxious, the kids are watching, it's going to make the kids anxious. Okay?
Absolutely. Even if it means working on some breathing activities together, make breathing a game. Uh-huh. And in that way, you're co-regulating your kids. Like I said, the audience is always watching, and the kids, especially now, are watching us very closely for cues of what it means to be safe and calm. Not that anxiety can't be part of it, but just a part of it, not all of it.
All right. One thing I hear you saying is, they've got to, in managing their own anxiety, try to find outlets. And you were just telling me before this talk that you used to go out to the park and run, and they've closed that. So you got to be creative. One thing in my neighborhood that started just a few nights ago at 8 p.m., I don't know how it started. Some kids started howling. We have coyotes up here, but they started howling outside the window at 8 o'clock. And now I joined in last night, and the whole neighborhood, and we live up the hills a bit, people were howling for about 10 minutes, and it was a way to let out some steam, just screaming and also connecting, because you could hear people mimicking you. It was a great thing. In Italy, they're singing outside, and in France, I think they're clapping. So it's a nice way. So your second point was, as SIP was information. What are you thinking in terms of that?
Well, I remember 9/11. Down here, we have hurricanes on a regular basis, especially as we're coming into May.
You're in Florida.
I'm in Florida, South Florida, and we get more than our share of hurricanes. And one of the things I've learned, not only as a clinician, but also as a parent, is that we really have to regulate the media diets of our children. We may want to know what's going on, but do we really need to have MSNBC or CNN or other stations on in the background all the time? Because the news is based on popularity and the amount of attention they can grab. So news folks aren't focusing as much on positive, adaptive coping experiences that people are having. So we have to be really wary of how much media and news we allow our kids to be exposed to. And that may mean moderating how much time they spend on their own computers. And also looking together perhaps for some funny YouTube videos. There are some incredibly funny YouTube videos now about what's going on. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, he has some really good stuff out there. He's eating at home with his horses. He's washing dishes with his little dog. You can really be creative in using YouTube, for example, to find some funny stuff.
Okay, I'll find the link to that, or you can send it to me. I'll add it to this video. Is going to be posted on our coronavirus resources page. So I know we have another link to a very clever video on hand washing that's quite funny. Mm-hmm. I just want to point out, so you made a good point. What is the motivation of the media, which is to grab attention and keep you watching and maybe dramatic? That doesn't necessarily align with what is going to be soothing and calming to children.
Right. And, information comes in many forms. Maybe this is the time to really search the media for uplifting, not to make it all go away and to paint rosy colored glass all over the place, but look for music, read together, comic books, just use some of the information in all the different forms of media that are out there. And it may be an opportunity for parents to explore new ways of bringing information into the house. But another activity you can do with young kids is create a storybook. What did I do today? How did I battle the anxiety monster today? What do I know about what it means to be safe? And narrative therapists would have kids create storybooks and certificates of battling anxiety and how to connect with others through tips and ideas. So a lot of creative ways that parents can be therapeutic as well.
Yeah, I noticed one of the things, my wife has been baking bread, and we went to the supermarket. Yeast is out of stock everywhere. People are going back to both the flour, the flour's out of stock too, but people are going back in some sense to simpler things, and those can be nice ways to spend time together. P, what was P?
P stands for problem solving. Kids are problem solvers, whether through play or social activities. I think now it's really important for parents to remind kids how competent they are, how skilled and resilient they are. So talking to kids about how they solve problems in school with their friends, how they've solved problems at home around bath time and eating and chores, and draw on that list of experiences that kids have had that have proven that they are problem solvers. And let them know, most importantly, that anxiety is okay, that anxiety can motivate us to solve problems, and then tap into kids' natural problem-solving skills through creativity and arts and play and all kinds of creative media, and make being home as comfortable as possible during trying times.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this, and, people, veterans that have been in wars, often they just spend a lot of time telling war stories, and they often romanticize it, or they remember the good times during obviously some
Yeah.
horrible experiences. And I'm hoping that, and from what I'm seeing, I think uh, there are some terrible things happening. People are sick, people are dying. Our economy is likely to be very disrupted, and some people are going to be more impacted than that than others. But
Yeah.
but I think there is the possibility that uh, this may be a time that people remember with some silver lining, that people are forced to spend time with each other, uh, get off the kind of treadmill that keeps them so busy with their work, and then have a time to reconnect with their families.
Yeah.
And and I think you've suggested some ways that people can use this time in a way that's meaningful. So you've had
Yeah.
some excellent ideas. And um, any final points or thoughts you'd want to make?
Yeah, and I want to sort of dovetail on something you said, Victor, when you talked about howling out to the hills. I think this could be a time to return to basics all the way around. The basics of breathing, the basics of connecting with others in novel ways, the basics of simple routines, the basics of being together. In a sense, we've been relegated to cave dwelling. And there's something very basic and simplistic about that. And if we can, as you said, get off the treadmill, get back to some basics, connect, stay safe, support each other, then I think we're going to help kids as best we can to get through this together. And it is about getting through it together.
Absolutely. That's a great point to end on. And I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts and wisdom and expertise. And I hope this will be helpful to therapists and parents out there who take the time to watch this.
I hope so too. Thanks, Victor.